Hey everybody, hello, my name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com, and today is Monday, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We're going to talk markets. There's a few things to mention. I think that, like I said, this week could be another interesting week, as every week, to be honest. But we have a few political developments, we have economic developments. So yes, trade still in the talks. So stick around. Hopefully you'll enjoy the session, and I'll see you in a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello, and good morning. My name is Darius Anucauskas, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And today is Monday, ladies and gentlemen, the 21st of July, 2025. Still, we have an interesting week again. This is the week where we're having economic data, we're having politics, we're having trade talks. We're still in the earnings season, or should I say, we just started the earnings season. There's a lot of movement. If you think that maybe the economic calendar doesn't look the most exciting, no, there's a lot of things happening. So hey, we'll try to talk about all those. Before we jump into action, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest, and in the meantime, I will do my usual good morning in the chat room. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's having a wonderful start of Monday of this new week. So, by the way, this is the last full week of July. I don't know this information. You need this information or not, but it's just there you go. Have it. Feel free. You're welcome. But yeah, next week we're only gonna have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that are gonna be left in July, and then we're gonna step into the August. The 1st of August, and then Friday is gonna be interesting day with the deadline looming. Anyway, also just a quick mentioning of our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. And also, tune in, sign up, register. Basically, do all these things before the webinar, which is going to happen next week on the last trading day of July, the 31st of July. So I'm going to be holding a webinar beyond the headline sector insight. So basically, we're going to be looking at what's kind of happening and in the market, and how we could look at different sectors which could benefit during the economic downturns. So again, like I said, this is what we're going to look at. I think that this is going to be an interesting topic. So hey, feel free to join. I will be very happy to see you there. It's going to be roughly an hour. So check out the link in the description of this webinar. You can, it's there. You can find it. So feel free. I will be very happy to see you there. So hopefully you could, find it useful. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at what's happening. Oh, by the way, also don't forget to subscribe to this thing, our YouTube channel, because again, whenever we have little updates, you should be getting a notification. So yes, check us out. Like I said, we do throw out these separate top news videos, which you can check out. This is what I do just to pick up on maybe a certain specific topic, but these live sessions are mainly for just overall broad discussion, to see what's happening. And in general, that's why, I say discussion, because you're more than welcome to drop a comment in the comment box. Okay, look, I'll jump into Japanese Nikkei in a bit, but first I think that the economic calendar is worth mentioning. So let me just quickly run through it, and we'll then jump into the instruments. So first of all, of course, Monday today, Japan is off. Yesterday they had an election, so they're off today. Maybe trying to rest before the market kind of, so that the market could digest this new info. They got the new leader. Well, sorry, they didn't get the new leadership. The current leadership just kind of lost a significant influence because they had the Liberal Democratic Party that won the election, and basically now they have won more seats in the parliament, and there we go. So now the current prime minister needs to either resign or kind of think of a way how to work together. It's going to be a difficult one because he's becoming very unpopular. The current party is becoming very unpopular in Japan, so that's why it's a bit of a pickle. So again, we're waiting for the next steps to see what's going to happen. Or is he going to resign, or is he going to just stay and let's work this out? But in general, that there is going to be division inside the country. Yeah. There they have still a trade deal to negotiate with the U.S. At the moment, nothing is happening, but again, we'll see what kind of steps they will take towards that. We understand that the DOGE is also monitoring the situation very carefully because again, the current leadership, the new kind of winning party, is very keen on cutting rates. Okay, look, I mean, with cutting rates, we'll see, because inflation is an important topic which should not be ignored. Yes, it's not super high or anything; it's just currently sitting at 3.3%, but still above BOJ's target of 2%. So yeah, and we're seeing some weakness in Japanese yen, but we'll see how that plays out. I have some thoughts, and I've discussed already these thoughts before in terms of Japanese yen. So in terms of devaluation of the currency. But I'll jump into that when I will talk about Japanese yen. So China loan prime rate came out. They kept their interest rate the same. The 1 year rate kept the same at 3%. So that's fine. No major shifts here and there. PPIs later on from Canada coming out. So raw materials as well, and CB lending index is coming out from the U.S. So maybe a little bit of a modest day in terms of economic data, but certainly it's still a few things to watch here and there, especially maybe politically, because again, we want to see what's going to happen if they're going to be this week, if we're going to see continued attacks on Jerome Powell and stuff. So, and of course, how everybody will be treating trade. Jumping into Tuesday in terms of economic data, or RBA meeting minutes coming out. Yep. So we're watching those. Nothing major, but again, we could see some volatility here and there. If in something Australian related, so if you're trading AUDUSD, we could see shifts in here and there. So keep your eyes on that. Because again, we know that they didn't do anything last time. We were expecting a rate cut, but Australia decided, hey, you know what? Like, kind of screw this. Let's keep the rate the same at 3.85. Look. In general, I have nothing to say against the RBA. At the moment, it seems to be fine. It seems to be okay. The country is plowing through. I think they're at that point where everything seems to be fine. They don't need to do any major, like I said, adjustments with the trade talks, with the deals, because, well, I think that if I'm not mistaken, they're running a deficit with the U.S. basically. So yeah, that's why I think that the market is kind of okay with everything. So yes, let me just double check. Let me just find the Australia here. I think I want to get the number. I want to get the number here. Where's that Australia? Let's check. Australia, there we go. So let's have a look what's happening here. So yes, so United States imports from Australia was around 16.5 billion during 2024. Yep. So basically, they are important, but still, I think that the U.S.'s balance of trade, trade balance. There we go. Let's have a look. Right. Okay. So so basically, Australia still is on at a point where they are not imports. Yes, copper. Okay, copper here. So basically, still Australia is off the hook in a way, where they have a a favorable trade balance with the U.S. and that's why for the U.S. and that's why no major attacks. No major attacks in Australia. So again, we're watching this. Of course, they also want a deal and everything. I think that they will just get the standard 10% tariff, like on all Australian goods imported into the US. So yeah, but no major attacks on Australia. Look, going further to Tuesday, we do have a few important data, or actually a few pieces of information, like the API crude oil stock change. This is something to keep an eye for everybody. But also this part here, the Fed Chair Powell speech. Now, again, I think that it's not an official Fed speech because we know that the Federal Reserve will be deciding on its interest rate next week, so on the 30th of July. So keep your eyes on that one. So next week on Wednesday, we will get the interest rate decision from the Federal Reserve, and everybody wants the Fed to go and cut. But look, I think that yes, it's not going to happen. I think that the Fed will keep its keep strong, stay strong, and not basically go for manipulation. Let's see what's going to happen, what kind of feedback we'll get, and what kind of attacks we will get after that decision. But for now, I think maybe we could see a little bit of a calming moment on those attacks by the White House on the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell. Maybe there will be a little bit on the modest side. They will wait until the interest rate decision happens. Let's say the Fed keeps their rates unchanged, and then we could see renewed attacks. But again, we'll see. For now, I think that nobody wants to stir up the market because we're going into that August 1st deadline, the tariff deadline, so the deal deadline, or whatever you want to call it now. So yes, everybody's going to be watching that. Anyway, jumping into further action on Wednesday, look, that was on Tuesday, so this Fed speech, we're watching now. Wednesday, we have the BOJ Uchida speech here, so we'll keep an eye on that one. MBA mortgage rate. Now this is where it's interesting because so far the rate has been fluctuating. It's still still below 7%. So I think that this is what they want to keep on doing. They don't want to force it above 7%. So yep, we'll keep an eye on that one. If somehow this rate jumps above 7%, I think this is where we could start seeing some issues. And this is what I'm talking about here. So this is that 7%. We have been once above this at the end of December, beginning of January we jumped, but then we kind of dropped and stayed below 7%. So if it does push back above 7, I think that this is where some issues could happen. And in general, if you were asking me to apply technical analysis on this, I mean, I would say that yes, it is. It seems like it wants to go a little bit higher. It's forming something of maybe a falling channel here, but the prevailing trend was to the upside, so a greater chance for this one to break out would be to the upside. Again, it's technical analysis theory. You would not really apply this on this. It just let's say a little bit of fun. So yes, keep an eye on that one. Jumping into further action here, existing home sales. This is what's coming out from the U.S. EIA crude oil stock change, something that we're watching if you are trading oil. And then we're going into Thursday, and the early hours of the Asian morning we'll get the S&P Global Composite Manufacturing and Services PMIs, the estimates. for Australia. Jibun Bank in Japan will be releasing the same stuff, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Germany, now Thursday, this is where Thursday action kind of kicks in, because we're going to start off. Europe will be, I think, the main focus. We'll see some German numbers, again the same flash, composite manufacturing and services PMIs for Germany, for the Eurozone, for UK. Yeah, I mean, Turkey's in there. There we go. Turkey's in there with its interest rate decision. Right. Okay, that's going to be quite interesting. They have cut the rate recently. Let's see. Sorry, not recently. They haven't cut the rate recently. No. So now it stays the same at 46. Now they're expecting a cut. Interesting. That could actually. That could not strengthen the Turkish lira. I'll jump into US dollar against the Turkish lira in a bit, but the main probably focus will be on the interest rate decision of the ECB. We're expecting no change there. The rate will remain the same at 2.15%, and that's what I think. That what's interesting will be the press conference. So this is what you need to keep an eye on. It's 30 minutes after? Yes, 30 minutes after the interest rate decision. Unless there is a surprise move by the ECB, I don't know. I mean, at the moment, I'm not really kind of focusing on that, a little surprise of something like that. So let's keep an eye on this. Let's see what's going to happen. But the press conference for me will be the more interesting one if you are trading something euro related. Also, continuing with the flash PMIs, USA is going to be doing the same thing later on, so keep your eyes on that. And of course, the usual initial and continuous jobless claims should be in there as well. Let me just double check. Yep, there we go. We have them here, actually in between the interest rate announcement and interest rate announcement from the EU and the press conference. So it's going to be in between that. So keep your eyes on. Basically, some increased volatility, especially if you're trading euro dollar. Just be cautious with that one. Going further, United Kingdom car production here. So there's some numbers here. Now Japan. Now this is where the inflation numbers are going to be coming out. Tokyo Core 3% expectation, basically a little bit of a lower number. Tokyo Core CPI year on year is expected to actually, well, there's no expectation at the moment. 3.1 previous, so maybe we'll see a lower number as well. Going into Friday, UK retail sales coming out, so we'll keep a close eye on that one. And for those who are trading the pound, need to keep an eye on that as well. There are some ECB consumer inflation expectations. I mean, yeah, we could see some action. It's going to be a tricky one. I mean, either we'll get some movement or we don't get some movement. So it's an important piece of data, but maybe the IFO business climate, this is what could drive the market a little bit. And then we'll finish off the day with Canada's budget balance, but kind of that's it. Durable goods coming out from the US, but apart from that, no. But so basically, jumping now into the charts. Look, everything what I told you right now, like all these economic data. Tuesday for Nikkei is going to be an interesting one. We're seeing cash index right now pushing kind of back up here. So maybe the market is seeing this as a positive, just because we might see a pause in the rate hikes from the BOJ, so maybe the market will take that as a positive. Let's see what's going to happen there. I think that in the situation here, look, the stock market in general is on a rally, right? You know that, and we saw that. The U.S. indices last week rallied beautifully, and kind of this may continue to spill into the into other markets, other countries. However, I have a problem whenever we reach all-time highs, and that means the problem is that we get a reversal. And of course, at the moment, we are not really seeing any clear signs, clear indications. But just to the fact whatever comes up must come down eventually. So yes, so that's why I'm curious that if the U.S. starts selling off earlier, maybe we're not even gonna travel higher here on Nikkei, and maybe we're not even gonna break this this highlighted zone, which I keep on talking about. So yeah, that's why I'm a little bit on the careful side and careful cautious side. So let's see what's gonna happen here, and if we're gonna break this territory, this highlighted zone, then I'll go higher. But at this point, it's a little bit of a difficult one, and that's why I don't want to rush into things. For the downside, I'm taking a very conservative approach here. I'm waiting for a drop below the 38,770 zone, somewhere around here, and then I'll go for some lower areas. China, let's have a look at this one. So China pushing up. Yes, interest rate kind of stayed the same, so maybe they're showing some stability or something like that. And in general, I think that China might continue being the more interesting market, is because we see those rare earths being sold to the U.S. and we saw an increase, in different elements which are required for the for technology, for like military industry, for defense industry, for car manufacturing industry as well. So, and all that is needed. So that's why they very quickly done the deal between the U.S. and China. They sorted it out. Now, like, the only attacks that we're seeing are on other countries. Nobody kind of knows. Everybody knows just the deal was done on some rare earths, but all the specifics, they're kind of unclear. So in a way, the market is kind of really pushing away from all that. Although it would be really interesting to know what's happening. So that's why politics and all these trade wars is a little bit of a show, to be honest. I mean, come on. There are some hidden agendas in there, and I'm sorry, but this is like, it's still a show, and it's a show to put that blank 10%, 15% on everything what's coming into the country, and kind of that's it. Probably. US index here. So look, I talked about this, and I warned everybody to keep an eye on this one, because again, we're in this falling channel on when was that? Quick take. There we go. On 18th, on Friday, I threw out this piece here on TradingView, this little piece, and I said that, look, keep your eyes on this little formation. I mean, this looks like a falling channel. The prevailing trend is to the upside, so greater chance for this one to break out is higher. However, we will consider that move only if we do break the upper side. And did we break? No. What I said to you as well, that look, if this is going to hold, we could see a little bit of a drift back down, and maybe just a little bit of a pause or something like that. So, but in terms of pausing, the index doesn't have much time, because it's approaching, if we are, like I said, just purely doing technical analysis on this one, it is approaching this upside line. So either it will need to rebound, or it will need to break this upside line and kind of go lower. Again, I'm not saying that this is the most important line to watch here, this upside line. No, but it's quite a significant one. So I would say yes, if we do break this upside line, maybe this increases the chances for further declines. For now, long story short, I am watching this 45,077 territory here. This is the all-time high, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. If these two are hitting the all-time highs, I mean, I'm talking about the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100, then the Dow kind of needs to go and do the all-time high as well. However, it's not a rule, but it would be great, So this has happened in the past, and that's why we're using technical analysis. We're analyzing past data, past activity, and trying to apply it in today's world. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. That's the game. That's the game we're playing here. But long story short, for now, I will stick to the same game plan. If we do clear the upper side, I'm going to go higher. While we remain inside the pattern, I'm not really touching it. I'm just observing the price action. Am I bearish? No. until I get a clearance of the 44,000 zone somewhere there, and then yeah, I'll consider some higher levels. The S&P 500. So yes, we're in uncharted territory. Last week we created a new all-time high. We're above this above the upper side of this little range here. So I'm not touching this one. I'm just observing. If it wants to go higher, look, that's fine. I mean, we can play the game. 6,300, 400, those are the beautiful numbers. We can try to apply the Fibonacci retracement, which I really adore. Maybe applying it this way could be an option. There we go, somehow like this. So basically you can see that the 6,396 or 97, anyway, roughly 6,400 is a nice good target. Is that going to be the case? There we go. Yes, I think that that's much better. There we go. If that's going to be the case, I don't know, but the 6,400 becomes quite an important area to watch. If we can travel towards that, if we can get a hold up there, wonderful. But for now, I'm just kind of aiming there. If we're looking for some lower levels, then I would say a drop below the 6,200 zone somewhere here would be required. Look, we can also start looking at some lower levels if we do drop below the 6,285 zone, this upper side of the this range, this previous range. Yeah, we could do that. Just be careful, you know. So maybe it could just bounce around here again and, you know, reverse push back up. That's why, like I said, if we do fall back below the 6,285, yeah, I'll start shifting my attention maybe towards some lower levels, but again, with with caution. NASDAQ 100. So look, of course, everybody is in AI. Everybody's like, you know, crazy about AI and what the future holds for it. Okay, from the stock perspective, then yeah, sure, you know, but there are some questions and there are some, you know, moral grounds that we need to kind of figure out how we are approaching those. So at the moment we're in hype, in this whole AI hype. Is it a bubble? Like, we can, you know, somebody will say yes, somebody will say no. I'm just gonna say that we had something like this before with, you know, the .com bubble. So everybody was into websites. Oh my God, like, you know, wow, that was a big thing. Yes, and it still is a big thing. Now maybe we're going through this other big thing. So eventually the market will have to correct itself. Don't get me wrong. Is it going to be the tariffs, or is it going to be something else? We don't know. Or maybe they will say that, you know, actually we're, you know, some sort of a legislator will come out saying we need to control AI more, and that's why, you know, maybe this is where we could see a little bit of a shifting moment, you know, and then maybe some panic selling. So into companies like these, which are rallying like crazy. NVIDIA. Look, I talked about NVIDIA recently as well. I did a little piece here. Where's that? Where's my NVIDIA? Well, there we go. This is the one that I'm talking about. So I talked about this idea. I said, look, I mean, this 164, if we break this barrier, I'm going to go a little bit higher, but you know, the downside scenario is still not off the table. But again, we're above some upside lines here. So yeah, it's you can check us out here on TradingView. And we did travel nicely. We cleared that barrier and we pushed higher, and there we go. Look, I mean, for now we're still above this steep upside line. Am I looking at some lower levels? Of course I'm looking at some lower levels. And you know, for me, maybe to drop, if I am applying technical analysis on this one, but you know, I have to be careful. Look, their earnings are coming out at the end of August, so we still have some movement to the upside. We could see some movement to the upside, and we are currently in this earnings season. And look, for now, I would say I will consider some lower levels if we do drop below this 169.20 zone. If we do that, wonderful. I'll go a little bit to the downside. But for now, it's just kind of one-way traffic, unfortunately. Companies like TSM also that were in the news last week, and you know, they entered that trillion club, the the companies with trillion market cap, you know, cool. What can I say? Great, good for them. It's just kind of showing that, you know, the market is really crazy about this whole AI thing, and I sound like a grandpa, AI thing. But yeah, look, eventually, I'm not against that if it's used properly. If it's, you know, if it's then used for kind of against us, no, you know, everything can be used against us in a way. But you know, I would say, you know, have your common sense, be careful. You know, we're already getting rid of call center jobs, you know, and that's a big portion of population working, you know, in those fields, you know, in those jobs, and you know, you're getting rid of you're slashing a lot of you know, call centers and basically support. So yeah, is AI good in that case? Yeah, good for the company, cost cutting, but is it good for the people who are losing their jobs? You know, of course, somebody might say, you know, like, but of course, you know, this has happened before. Just people shift into other, you know, other jobs, and sure, yes, okay, why not? I'm not saying anything. Why not? You know, so shifting to other like roles could be sometimes good. Maybe you'll discover yourself, but it's always like a 50-50 thing, unfortunately. But yeah, companies like these, they're profiting a lot, and companies like these which are rallying here, look, Microsoft is coming out with its earning next week, so we'll keep an eye on that one. And it rallied significantly. Like, I mean, look at this. I mean, this is just crazy. Meta as well, again, it's on a rally. Well, kind of declined a little bit, but still doing good. So yeah, in general, these companies are enjoying themselves, cutting jobs. Yeah, all good, right? All good. Yeah. Anyway, let's go back into the indices and the US dollar index. This is what I talked a lot about, and I said to you that I will be a little bit on the bearish side still, and I am. I'm going to remain on the bearish side as long as we, you know, stay below all my EMAs. We're currently above my kind of breakout point here, this highlighted zone. Somebody might say, hey, this could be a bullish factor. In a way, yes, but I need to see a stronger move above this 98.65 zone, above that 50-day EMA shown as the green line, in order to get more comfortable with the upside. For the downside, a drop below the 97.14 zone here would be nice. So yeah, that's my little game plan here on the US dollar index. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just observing this one. We do have, like I said, a few pieces of information coming out here and there, but I think that US dollar might stay subdued up until next week. We might see the US dollar kind of, you know, we made some moves. Maybe this week is going to be just like bouncy here a little bit, and then going into next week when we're going to get the interest rate decision from the Fed. Ooh, that's where the interesting moment could come. The German index, DAX, let's have a look at this one. Some positivity still, so we're looking at the cash index. Let me just jump into the main index here. So, right, okay, there is a little bit of movement here and there. What I talked about previously, I said that if we do want to consider some higher levels, then probably wait for a push above the 24,480 zone, somewhere around here. Just to be a little bit more on the safe side, you can wait for a push above the 24,639. There we go, right here. That's the current all-time high. If we can clear that one, a forthcoming higher high will be confirmed. For the downside, well, okay, I like this area here, this 24,166. I do, but then of course we need to keep on monitoring this, the low of last week near the 23, just a little bit below that psychological 24,000 zone, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, this is what I'm sticking to for now. Let's see how all this is going to play out. Jumping into the FTSE 100 index, the cash index here, we're stuck on watching these two. The same story is valid for the FTSE 100. For watching these two areas here, I need a clearance either through the 9,000 and kind of 41 zone right here, or a drop below the 8,910 zone right there. If we can get a nice clearance through one of these sides, I'll consider the next short-term directional move. Let's jump into some Forex pairs, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be quite interesting. So AUDUSD. So yes, keep your eyes on that RBA meeting minutes, which are coming out. As I said to you, that was coming out on what was that? Tuesday, right? Tuesday, tomorrow. So keep your eyes on that. Again, a little bit of increased volatility. Are we going to find out something new? I don't think so. But what I'm keeping an eye on still here is the nice little rising wedge pattern. So look, I talked about this, and I'll stick to my game plan. And I talked about this for like a month already. I said we're in this rising wedge. In general, rising wedges tend to break to the downside. However, in this case, we see that the prevailing trend was to the upside. So the greater chance for this one to break out is to the upside. Last week, we saw this little roller coaster ride here, and we broke the lower side. It seemed like that's it. We're done. We're going lower. No, there we go. Quickly, boom, to the upside. Dollar index stabilized, then stopped rallying, and there we go. We pushed. So that's why I am actually kind of cautiously bullish on this one. But while we remain above all the EMAs on my daily chart, I am bullish somewhat. I will keep an eye on this pattern, and I'm bullish within the pattern. But if we start breaking below the 50-day EMA shown here as the green line, then yep, I will consider a move lower. AUDJPY very quickly. So we stabilized. I think we're waiting for the next catalyst. Our risk on, risk off monitor here has slowed down a little bit. Good result here. I talked about this last week. I said that, look, this was what I was targeting. I was talking about this the week before. I was aiming for that 97.32 zone. We reached it. Great. Now I'm looking at a breakout of this barrier in order to consider some higher levels. For the downside, okay. For the downside, I was talking about this previously here, that I need to wait for a drop below all my EMAs in order to consider some lower levels. But look, I think that maybe, just maybe, we could start shifting our attention to the break of this upside line and this 95.74 territory. If we can get that move, great, wonderful. I will consider a move to the downside. And NZD USD, one of my favorite ones right now as well. So yes, we're currently stuck in between the EMAs, so I'm not just touching this one, I'm just observing the price action. For the downside, a drop below all my EMAs here, that's great. A drop below these EMAs could open the door to some lower levels. NVDA, which I now call actually a better risk on, risk off monitor, is stuck, and yeah, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. Are we going to rebound from here? If we can, amazing. I will consider a move higher. But if we start breaking below this upside line, below all these EMAs, then yes, then we could see some lower action here. USDJPY. So yes, politics. Politics is involved here, and of course the fact that we have a new party kind of which has taken some seats in the parliament. That's where the excitement comes in. So in a way, everybody's now worried that we could see devaluating Japanese yen more. However, I don't want to rush into this conclusion yet, because we're at the interesting spot with the stock market. So maybe just Japanese yen will naturally pick up buying interest if the stock market starts correcting lower. If it starts correcting lower, then great. Then you don't need to do anything. So this is just normal. You can, even if you do a cut, I think that if the stock market drops and you do a cut, I think the Japanese yen could still gain, and it could be quite an interesting, moment. So yes, that's why for now, I will continue observing the price action here. I talked about this little level previously, but I think I need to adjust this to see if this is going to work. So basically 149.18, that's something that I'm watching here. And if we can get a nice clearance of that one, great, I'll consider a move higher. Also, this line here, this is this downside line, which maybe could be in a way. So yeah, you can keep an eye on that one, but maybe, just maybe, why is it so? kind of thin here. So maybe, just maybe, we could form something of a bullish flag, or sorry, not a bullish flag, but a triangle pattern. Okay, so maybe, just maybe, a triangle or a wedge, depends on how this is going to shape up. Almost the same thing, basically, but maybe, just maybe, if this is a triangle, then we look at the prevailing trend. The prevailing trend we entered here was to the downside. So for this one, the greater chance to break out is to the downside. Interesting. So yeah, so that's why it kind of supports the idea of the Japanese yen strengthening, and the stock market, like I said, is at its all-time highs, and we could see still some more all-time highs, but I think that the whole fear with the what's going to happen with the trade, with those tariffs, and that's what's kicking in right now. And I think maybe at one point the market, this is the thing, there could be a moment where the market could have like something like, okay, enough is enough, right? Are we doing these tariffs or are we not doing these tariffs? And because it's unclear, because if the deadline gets kicked further, again, it's not really helping anybody. So that's why I think the market right now could take the position of, let's drop it, let's drop the stock market, let's show that we mean business, and then let the White House kind of sort it out, what they're doing. Are they going for those tariffs or they're not going for those tariffs? And there we go. So maybe they will say, we're dropping all the big tariffs. We're going to keep just that 10%, baseline. This would actually be a positive for the stock market, and this is where the stock market could push back up. So anyway, but that's what I'm saying. With the yen, the yen traders are also watching this, and they also want to understand if they need to start buying yen in order to safeguard themselves, because again, the stock market could approach everything this way, which I just said. So if we do see a little bit of a selling moment in the stock market, then the Japanese yen could attract a buying interest. USDCAD, very quickly, we broke this downside line. We're struggling with the 50-day EMA. I don't like it at this point because this is messy now. And I just, I think I need to get rid of this downside line. No longer needed. So what I'm doing here right now is actually maybe just, I want to say I'm going to observe this, but for now I'm just gonna observe this action here. So long story short, I will remain bearish as long as we stay below the EMAs, all the EMAs. If we start pushing above the 1.3797 territory here, I'll consider maybe a bit of a move to the upside. USD CHF, very quickly, we're still struggling. There we go, good area. Talked a lot about this, 0.8038 or roughly 40. As long as we stay below that 0.8040, I'm still considering a move to the downside. EURUSD, so as I said to you, keep your eyes on Thursday. Keep your eyes on EURUSD on Thursday. At the moment, we're below this downside line, so as long as we remain below the downside line, I'm going to continue targeting the downside. Very simple. Although, I'm not saying that I'm a strong believer in the US dollar yet. No, not yet, but for now, I am just kind of observing this, and maybe, if we do break the downside line, great, I'll go to the upside. I'll go higher. I will go towards this hurdle right here, the highest point of July, the current highest point of July, and then, then we'll go from there. But at this point, I am just kind of, like I said, I'm cautiously bearish in the near term, and I'm aiming maybe for this 50-day EMA. EUROJPY, yes, watching this one very carefully. This 173 territory seems to be providing good resistance. If we do break it, I'll go a little bit to the upside. If we don't, maybe a little bit of a retracement could be possible, but at the moment, maybe a drop below this little hurdle from the very short-term perspective, this 171.80 zone. If we do drop below that, I will maybe consider a little bit of a retracement. Not much, not a big one, but just a little bit of movement right there. GBPUSD, very quickly, GBPUSD, beautiful hold up here, very strong area of support, 1.3370. Watching this one very carefully. If we can get a nice clearance of this one, great, I'll go to the downside. At the moment, I am just being very careful, very cautious. So if we can get a nice clearance of the 1.3370 zone, then yes, I will consider a move lower. For the upside, I need to see a push above the 1.3562 territory right here, and if we can get that move, wonderful. I will consider a move higher. Jumping into commodities, ladies and gentlemen, gold. Look at this beautiful thing. Okay, I mentioned this to you last week, the week before that. I said we might be in an ascending triangle pattern. And what's interesting that we might be, where's my drawing triangle pattern? There we go. We might be even within an we have an ascending triangle within an ascending triangle. So is that going to be the case? Hey, maybe. Just well, let me just change the colors here a little bit to make it a little bit maybe yeah. So, there we go. Let's make it pink. So basically, we're in this right now, and let me just okay, let's keep this. So basically, we could be in something like this right now. So if you know, if we're in an ascending triangle within an ascending triangle, we have a big one here, we have a smaller one here. So in a way, double the bullish, right? Well, yes and no. So we need to wait for a clearance. We need to wait for a clearance of the upper side. That's normal, you know, technical analysis rules. We get a clearance, we start considering the next short-term directional move. And if at the moment we're getting that clearance, in a way, we're flirting with that 3,365 territory. I talked about this. If you remember last week, I said to you, wait, I am not going to rush into downside because I need to see a break of the lower side here of this triangle, and which is kind of almost coinciding with the lower side of the bigger triangle. So depends on how you're looking at this. You know, we have actually, somebody might say we have actually three triangles, you know, within the, you know, it's three ascending triangles within, you know, on one picture here. So, but look, long story short, we're waiting for a clearance, okay? If gold is picking up right now, interest, for me, that's like an indication. Why? Why are we picking up? Because the stock market is ready to reverse lower a little bit? Let's see if that's going to be the case. For now, I will consider that idea. Yes, but I'm not going to rush into it. And if we can get that, you know, breakout to the upside, I'm going to be very carefully monitoring what's going to happen with the stock market very much. Yes, of course. We're in the earnings season right now, so I'll pick up on the earnings at the end, actually, the end of this webinar, so I'll go through some companies. So, yeah, keep your eyes on this one. It could be an interesting one. Silver is also trying to make, you know, history here and trying to move higher, and so far so good. Yes, we're pushing to the upside. Of course, we're going to be monitoring this barrier right here, the 39.12. If we can clear it, then yes, of course, the next target is the psychological 40 zone. Palladium, one of my favorite ones. Good result last week here. Boom. We rallied strongly, pushed, tested this area near the 1,370, and there we go. We're, you know, drifting back to the downside here. So long story short, for now, I am gonna keep an eye on this. And of course, if we do fall back below the 1,250 zone, I will consider a move to the downside. Very quickly on Platinum, same story. Look, at the moment, everything is very bullish here. I mean, I would like to see a little bit of a retracement. I don't really have a good level unless it starts falling below the 1,350 zone, somewhere here. If it falls back below it, I'm going to consider a move lower. At the moment, any move to, up until here could be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of buying. Copper is, there we go, beautiful breakout. Like I talked about this. Look at this. I mentioned this formation last week in one of my webinars. So I can't remember, did I mention it in this? No, copper was this was a later stage. Yes. Earlier stage, sorry. So we're forming a triangle. I talked about this last week in my MarketsTalk webinar. There we go. Bullish triangle with flag, pennant. There we go. Beautiful breakout. Question: how far are we going to travel? Are we going to travel a little bit more to the upside here, and we'll test the barrier right here, this 5.89, or maybe higher, the psychological 6 level? Who knows? For now, I'm aiming for the upside, but I'll shift quickly towards slightly lower levels if we break this little short term, or basically the lower side of that triangle pattern. Oil, WTI oil, again, I cannot stress this enough how many times I said I am bearish on this one. Yes, last week we had this spike here, this reversal back up, but then again, at the end of the day, it reversed and started selling off, and now we're falling below all my EMAs. So in a way, I said to you that I am a little bit more on the bearish side on this one because it seems like it has formed a bearish flag. We're below the EMAs. I'm gonna stick to my downside scenario right here. So, period. As long as we stay below all the EMAs on my daily chart, I'm going to stick to the downside. However, I'm going to get even more bearish if we do fall below the $65 mark. Natural gas. Natural gas drifting lower, testing the 200-day EMA. I don't really have much of a strong opinion on natural gas here because, look, I will. If somebody would have to say, here's a gun at your head and tell me where it's going to go. At the moment, I would say this one. If it stays below the 200-day EMA, then I'm going to continue targeting the downside. But if it doesn't, then I'm just kind of observing the price action. But yeah, it's very interesting right now near the 200-day EMA. If we can stay below it, then great. I'll go lower. Coffee. Coffee, very quickly. A little bit of retracement here. I'm still targeting the EMAs here, and then we'll go from there. Cocoa. Beautiful, there we go. Beautiful reversal here. Interesting, very interesting. So, I'm bearish because while we remain inside this pattern, I will remain with the, more interested in the bearish scenario. Also, keeping an eye on this little area of resistance, somewhere around here. If we stay below this 7,635 zone, I will continue kind of doing this basically. Yep, very simple. Wheat, just a quick glance, nothing major. Sugar, whoa, there we go, drifting. Tested the 50-day EMA, there we go, beautiful. The test here, drifting back down now. Let's see if we can stay above, if we can actually jump back above the 50-day EMA. I'm going to get bullish. At the moment, I'm just cautiously, I'm cautious, I'm not even bearish, I'm just cautious. My bearishness will come on a drop below the $16 mark, somewhere here. And cotton, very quickly, we're still above the 200-day EMA, that's fine, so something somewhat positive here, but my preferred positivity will be from somewhere around here, this highlighted zone right there. Let me just maybe highlight it a little bit more. Yep, so this is what I am looking at. So if we can clear this, great. This is roughly around 69.70 zone, so if we can clear this, I'm going to go a little bit higher. And very quickly for dessert, Bitcoin. Look, we signed the bill. They signed the bill. Actually, the 3 acts went into action. So yeah, the crypto world is loving it. But we saw a little bit of a decline. And I talked about this, in my digital currency acts are in focus this week video, which you can find here. And I said to you that it might be somewhat of a buy the rumor, sell the news moment. We got the news. We saw a little bit of selling. We didn't see an explosion or something. We had the same thing happening in January, basically, when everybody was like, oh my God, his inauguration will be, he's going to mention something about crypto, and everybody, this hype was like all over the place. And then he didn't mention anything, and we saw a decline. So that's what I'm saying. So just don't, have your head on your shoulders, just take everything with a pinch of salt and everything will be fine. So for now, look, I'm going to get bullish on this one if we start pushing somewhere back above the 120,000 zone. I'm going to consider some higher levels. For the downside, a drop below this 116,400 would be ideal, would be great, I think. So we'll consider that a moment as a downside scenario. Bitcoin Cash, there we go. We're drifting back down. We can get rid of this line, no longer needed. So far so good. Look, we're in this rising channel, so we might see a little bit of a retracement back down here at some point. So just kind of keep that in mind. Ethereum, yes, on a rally, on a move, it's ready to rock and roll towards the all-time highs. Are we going to go there? I mean, look, this is just a straight line. A little bit of retracement would be needed, so maybe a little bit of a pause could be possible. Ripple, all-time highs were hit last week, so now we're just above the previous all-time high, and for now, I mean, let's see if we can stay. This worked out. I mean, this has been a crazy rally. Let's see if we can stay above this 3.40 zone. If we can do that, then we'll continue targeting the upside. This can go, no longer needed. Yep. So yeah, if we can stay above the 3.40 zone, I will continue targeting the upside. Litecoin, 120. There we go. Boom. My downside line got reached. There we go. Amazing. I am happy about this. I talked about this, by the way, in my video. Oh, not this one. On YouTube. So you can check it out. I talked about this target here. It's, by the way, a little bit higher because I missed. There we go. That's the little peak here. There we go. Beautiful. Amazing. Now the question is, are we going to stay here? If we are going to stay a little bit below that that line, I am just going to consider maybe a little bit of a retracement back down here. Let's see. Dogecoin, good result, great clearance of that 0.2595. I talked about it, and as long as we stay above it, we could continue considering moves to the upside. The Polkadot, very quickly, Polkadot continues to rally, so we're testing the 200-day EMA. Let's see if we can stay above it. If we cannot stay above it, I'm going to consider a little bit of a move lower. And Tron there, ooh, Tron is interesting, very interesting. Oh God, I love it. Honestly, I somehow started liking this very much. It's very, very like forecasting, like, I mean, very future orientated. I don't know, like you can forecast things with it. So we're seeing a little bit. That's why my suggestion of the little retracement maybe in the cryptos could be an interesting option. Let's see. But again, it's quite an interesting moment here. I would say this way: if we break this upside line taken from the low of the 22nd of June, I will consider a little bit of a move lower. Yep. Fair enough. I think this is a good option. So, ladies and gentlemen, and finally, by the way, I just wanted to pick up on stocks very quickly. So, I just want to remove everything and clear and put US apply. Basically, we're in the earnings, look, these are the top companies that are delivering, so we could see volatility in the stock market. So basically, this part, which I was talking about here, you know, with the stock market, just keep an eye on this. I mean, at the moment, we could still go higher, but at the same time, if the stocks start to disappoint, then you know, we could see a little bit of a move lower. So Domino's Pizza coming out today, Verizon, Cleveland Cliffs, so keep your eyes on that. What else do we have from the big players? Okay, Tuesday, let's have a look at Tuesday. Equifax, okay, MSCI, Coca-Cola companies coming out, right? Okay, First Bank Corp, there we go, Invesco. Okay, a few major companies, a few major names here and there, so check that out, of course. Baker Hughes is a big one, right? Those are guys that are coming out Wednesday. By market cap, there we go. There we go. I think this is there we go. Coca-Cola, Philip Morris, RTX. Right, these guys. Check out the RTX on Tuesday. I mean, these guys are providing instruments, you know, to kind of the military equipment, you know, which is used not in the best ways at the moment. So yes, check out those guys. Wednesday, this is what we're looking at. Alphabet and Tesla, interesting, and IBM. This is what's going to be AT&T, GE Vernova. So the NextEra Energy. We have some big names. Coming out on Wednesday. Alphabet and Tesla being the top big ones. So if you're trading something stocks related, then yes, keep your eyes on that one. Thursday, Honeywell, Union Pacific, Intel. A lot of interesting companies here coming out. NASDAQ, yes. NASDAQ as an Inc. Yep, coming out. And Friday we have a few interesting companies here and there, but Certainly Wednesday, I think, could be the more interesting one, and we will be getting Alphabet and Tesla after the close, after market close. So yes, keep your eyes on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, your views, your likes, your comments, everything. So as always, you can leave your comments everywhere. Don't forget to join the webinar on July 31st. Of course, I'll also, I'll keep on mentioning this in every video session of mine until then. Hopefully you can enjoy this one as well. So yes, feel free to join in, register, and yeah, I'll see you on Wednesday in my next live MarketsTalk webinar. So yes, as always, stay safe, have your stop losses in place, risk only what you can afford to lose, don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. And I will be coming out with some little videos, the top news videos, soon. So yep, check those out, and in order not to miss those, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Bye bye.